So I'll be discussing on application of OCT in uveitis. So as we all know, OCT is a non-invasive, non-contact imaging modality which helps in performing in vivo optical cross-sections of the anterior segment and the retina, also known as the optical biopsy. So we are not going into the details of principle of OCT. As sir had already discussed that OCT has revolutionized and it has evolved over the past three decades from the time domain to the spectral domain to the swept source OCT and to the ultrawide field OCT. So the scans have already been discussed, but I just want to highlight that it's very important not only to perform an OCT but also to understand which scan to perform to detect which lesion. That is very important. And this is a picture showing the line scan, the raster scan, the radial scan, the raster scan, the macular cube to look for the GCL-IPL complex, and the optic disc cube to look for the RNFL thickness. So this slide, I think we have all seen this slide in the past 3 talks, but it's very important because this is the main thing which we should always remember, because this is how a normal OCT looks like. As it's the list of OCT layers agreed on the international nomenclature for OCT panel has told. So it's very important to know that the the plexiform layers are hyperreflective and the nuclear layers are hyporeflective, and the 4 external hyperreflective bands comprising of the external limiting membrane, the ellipsoid zone of the photoreceptor, that is the ISOS junction, the cone interdigitation with RP, that is the cone outer segment tips, and the RP Brooks membrane. So, though my topic is on uveitis, I just want to show one thing, why it's important to know which scan to do, which scan to perform for when we are looking for something. So this was a case of occult optic disc pit, where we initially performed a radial scan. But here we could not see a breach in the optic membrane, breach in the membrane of the optic nerve head. However, when you performed a raster scan, we could see that breach. That is because the radial scan had a 7.5 degree apart scans. However, with the raster scan with less amount of difference between the 2 scans, we could pick up a occult disc pit in this case. So coming to our topic, why do we need imaging in uveitis? Uveitis is inflammation of the uveal tract, the iris, ciliary body, and the choroid. Now, same disease can have different manifestation, and different diseases may look similar. So it can be confusing at times. So imaging can help us to delineate which which structure of the retina or the choroid is affected, and it can help us to shortcut and jot down our differentials based on that. And it's also essential to detect the reactivation or complication. Now, whenever we interpret an OCT, it's very important to start from the vitreous, going to the vitreoretinal interface, the inner and the outer retina, then the RP Brooks membrane complex, and the choroid. So what are the classical signs which we note in uveitis while performing an OCT? So the classical signs being the retrolental cells, the cystoid macular edema, the RP undulations, the neurosensory detachment, some subretinal fibrin-like depositions, as well as increased choroidal thickness. More than that, while performing ASOCT also, we can look for the AC cells in cases of anti-uveitis and pan-uveitis. So I'll just go through one of a very extensive study done by Rohan Chawla et al. Here they had seen the OCT characterization of the posterior retinitis. So this was a case of presumed toxoplasmosis, and when they performed an OCT, initially at presentation, we can see a marked inner layer hyperreflectivity with partial separation of the hyaloid. With time, at 1 week follow-up, there was a decrease in the retinal hyperreflectivity as well as a decrease in the retinal thickness. And at 4 weeks, the area of pigmentation was replaced by a hyperreflective scar. This area where there was a hyperreflectivity, it was now displaced by a hyperreflective scar. So this was a case of presumed viral or herpetic retinitis. Here we can see the characterized necrosis of the retinal layers, overlying separation of the ILM. Later on, there was marked decrease in the subretinal fluid. However, the separation of IL can be noted here. The vitreous cells can also be noted here. And at last, we can see the area of pigmentation is corroborating with the few intraretinal hyperreflective dots. So this is a case of focal retinitis patches with hemorrhages. And when we do OCT, we can see the neurosensory detachment at the area of the macular star, the vitreous cells, the separation of the ILM, and the hyperreflectivity of the inner retinal layers. However, no necrosis is noted here as seen in the other presumed viral retinitis. So this is a case of healed choroidal tubercle there are multiple choroidal tubercles rather, and here there was a surrounding subretinal fluid as well, which is very well documented on OCT. Along with it, we can see some intraretinal cystic spaces and hyperreflective inflammatory infiltrate with increased transmission signal. This was an interesting case when the patient came for the other eye to show the other eye, but when we looked for the right eye, we could see an isolated choroidal granuloma. And here we can see the well-defined oval-shaped choroidal lesion, hyporeflective to the surrounding choroid with an internal homogeneous pattern. We sent the patient for an HRCT and we could see the characteristic lesions of sarcoid. So this is a case of non-HIV CMV retinitis. And here we can see the characteristic OCT features of retinitis, where cells are there in the vitreous, the thickening of the hyaloid can be seen. There are exudates on the retinal surface, retinal cavitations, and the loss of the laminar structure of the retina, as well as an increased retinal thickness. And after treatment, when we did a OCT scan 6 weeks follow-up, we can see the decrease in the retinal thickness. However, the cavitations were still there. Retinal thinning can be appreciated here. And there is also diminution of the decrease in the vitreous cells. So this was a case of RP epithelitis, where we can see the hyperreflectivity of the outer retina disrupting the ellipsoid zone and the interdigitation zone. And it's important to look for these subtle features because this is usually self-limiting, so it doesn't need any treatment as such. So sometimes it can be confusing because here also we can see some yellow spots at the fovea. However, this is a case of vitelliform dystrophy, where we can see the hyperreflective subretinal deposits here. This is a case with multiple serous detachments with early hypofluorescence with few pinpoint leaks and subretinal pooling in the neurosensory detachment in the late phase of fluorescent angiography. And when we see the OCT, we can see the multiple neurosensory detachments with RP undulations and subretinal fibrin in a case of weak age. Here we can see a focal yellowish lesion, and when we do an OCT through this part, we can see the increased choroidal thickness, the subretinal fluid, as well as the loss of the outer retinal structure. As well as when we corroborate these symptoms with a ultrasound scan, we can see the increased choroidal thickness as well as the suprachoroidal fluid. So OCT can also help in cases where there is a diagnostic dilemma. Like this is a patient who presented with infolding ring and a disc edema with vitreous cells and retinochoroidal folds, and we were not sure what it is. On ultrasound, we can see an increased choroidal thickness with the T sign, and we can also appreciate these changes on the OCT. So this was a case of posterior scleritis. After treatment, we can see the resolution very well. Another important thing is sometimes the patients present with vitritis, which is non-responding to steroids, because we think it's a case of intermediate uveitis, but here we can see the classical sub-RPE deposits, and one most important thing here also, there is no cystoid macular edema present, as opposed to that in intermediate uveitis, in which we usually see CME. So this was a case of lymphoma, and a vitreous biopsy was done, followed by treatment. Sir has already discussed about ultra-wide field OCT, which is now one of the most favorite imaging modality for retina surgeons. So I'll just show a few pictures. Like this was a case with suspected sarcoidosis, and we saw some vitreous infiltrates here. When we did an OCT through that lesion, we can see that hyperreflective homogeneous elevated lesions. So these are the pre-retinal granulomas, also known as the Landis sign, which is usually associated with sarcoidosis. Another picture, this was a case of intermediate uveitis. After laser of a lattice, there was a vasoproliferation noted here, which grew in size with over the past few weeks. And then when we did an OCT through this, we can see the increase in the retinal thickness along with loss of the laminar structure of the retina. And this was the evolution of the vasoproliferative tumor, which was very well documented using ultraviolet field imaging and OCT. So that's all from my side. Thank you.